Nikki's Tiny Town.
Hello, boys and girls. It's me, Miss Nikki. And today, we're going to read the story, The Carrot Seed. But before we start reading, let's take a look at the front cover of the book and look closely. What do you see? I see a little boy with something in his hand and he's bending over. Boys and girls, say it with me. I wonder what's in his hand. Why is he bending over? Let's read the story, The Carrot Seed, to find out.
Story time!
The Carrot Seed. Story by Ruth Krauss. A little boy planted a carrot seed. His mother said,
I'm afraid it won't come up.
His father said,
I'm afraid it won't come up.
and his big brother said,
It won't come up.
every day, the little boy pulled the weeds around the seed and sprinkled the ground with water. But nothing came up. And nothing came up. Everyone kept saying it wouldn't come up.
I'm afraid it won't come up.
I'm afraid it won't come up.
It won't come up.
But he still pulled up the weeds around it every day and sprinkled the ground with water. And then, one day, a carrot came up. Just as the little boy knew it would. The end.
The end.
What a wonderful story about a little boy who didn't give up. Even though everyone kept telling him his seed wouldn't grow, he still kept weeding it and sprinkling it with water every single day. He still kept believing in himself and believing that that seed was gonna turn into a carrot. He was determined. And yes, a carrot grew at the end. Boys and girls, we're gonna talk about story sequence now. What is that? It tells us what happens at the beginning and the middle and the end of the story. Do you remember what happened at the beginning of the story? The beginning of the story is the part of the story that you read first. Do you remember what we saw first? First, we saw a little boy planting a carrot seed. Next, let's talk about what happened in the middle. The middle of the story is not the beginning and it's not the end. It's the in-between part. Like when you make a sandwich and you have a piece of bread on top, you may put some meat in the middle and you have a piece of bread on the bottom. So let's talk about the middle part, like the meat that's in the middle. So, do you remember what happened in the middle of the story? Well, the little boy's parents kept telling him that the carrot wasn't gonna grow, but he still kept taking care of it anyway. Now, let's talk about the end of the story. The end of the story comes right before we finish reading. Do you remember what happened at the end of the story? Did you say a carrot came up? Yes, you're right. Give yourself a kaboom clap on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, kaboom! Awesome, boys and girls. Now, I have an activity that you can do with your parents to help you remember how to tell the beginning of a story, the middle of the story, and the end.
We're learnings all around.
For this activity, parents, you'll need to take a piece of paper and fold it in half. And then you're gonna fold the paper into 3 sections, just like this. After you fold the paper into 3 sections, you'll take a pair of scissors and you'll cut the paper. 1, 2. And when you're done, it will look like this. And you can write the letter B for the beginning of the story, where your child can draw the beginning of the story, and M for the middle part of the story, and have your child illustrate the middle part, and E for the end. And you can have your child illustrate the end of the story. Also, if you want to just do the beginning and end of the story, that's fine too. You can take a piece of paper, fold it in half, take your scissors and cut straight up, like this. And then you'll have B for beginning and E for end. And then you can have your child illustrate the beginning only, and then have them illustrate the end. Be sure to have your child go back through the story for help as they illustrate. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson on story sequencing. Have fun, and I'll see you next time. Hugs and love.